Well, BCFers, sorry for the following recording. It's pretty choppy. The sound is fine. I'm still working on trying to get these live broadcasts working. That was my first one that you're about to watch. Again, apologies for the choppiness. Obviously, I need to fix one of my settings. Hopefully, the next live broadcast will be better. If you're gonna watch this, it sounds fine. It's just a little choppy. Thanks for coming out. Right. Welcome to Occam's Razor. This is Blazing Cat for Fridays, where we do a cold read through the best news aggregate for the people who think like me. First, I'd like to thank all you BCF readers who viewed my video last Friday. The viewership was outstanding and really gives an idea of how many people visit his site if only a fraction of you watch the video. Second, I'd like to mention that Occam's Razor puts out videos on a regular basis, and if they're not all about blazing catfur, so please share, like, and subscribe, and have a look. And we're available on both Rumble and CommyTube. All right, third, let's go. Here are Blazing Catfur's site. What do we got for first story up today? Doug Ford's government vows to protect Ontario from Donald Trump's tariff with record $232.5 billion budget. Where is Doug getting all his money? The economy has not been doing great for the past 10 years. And I think our auto sector is getting ready not to be able to do a lot of business in the near future. So where is he going to get all this money? Whoa, Canada. Ontario claims to stand on guard for thee. With the economy battered by U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war and unemployment rising, Premier Doug Ford's government has tabled a record of $232.5 billion provincial budget to protect Ontario and promote national unity. Oh, Doug, why can't you just be concerned about the province? Why do you have to get outside your britches and be concerned about national unity? When all of Canada wins, Ontario wins. Oh, yeah. Slogan. Finance Minister Peter Bethlen Falvey said Thursday in a boosterish speech that noted it is amazing to witness the burst of patriotism across our province and our great country in the face of Trump's tariffs. Oh, yes, patriotism bursts across the country, across the province. Where was your patriotism 5 years ago when everyone was turned into second class citizens? Even your serving veterans were turned into second class citizens. Where was your patriotism then? Where's your patriotism now? Your military is completely destroyed. You don't have a country, guys. You want national unity, but yet you don't address the things that have turned it into a shithole. Outcry as Falklands War landing craft is decorated for pride. Oh my goodness. I remember the Falkland War. I had I had not joined the reserves yet at the time, actually, and a lot of people were concerned if we were going to get drafted, uh, which was kind of ridiculous because the war was actually between the UK and Argentina, and they won after losing a couple of ships. Those French Exocet missiles really did a number on them. The decoration of a Falklands War landing craft to celebrate Pride has sparked uproar amongst veterans. Yeah, of course it would. Can you imagine that? But then again, I guess these veterans just need to acknowledge, like myself, that their country has turned into a shithole as well, and they too have been abandoned by their own government. Polyev says lack of budget tabling sends bad signal. You think? A banker? A banker who can't do a budget? My God, elbows up there, you liberal mothers. Conservative leader Pierre Polyev said Thursday the lack of a federal budget sends a bad signal to investors and credit rating agencies. Yeah, yeah. Can you imagine? Imagine if you go to you go to somebody who deals with personal debts, and you go to borrow money from them, and they want to restructure your debt, and you say to them, "Oh no, I don't need a budget. I'm just going to give you a statement in about 6 months on how I'm doing." Yeah. So we as Canadians are constantly having our pockets picked, basically providing them with the money to spend, and we would like to see a budget. Ukrainian charged over arson attacks on Keir Starmer's properties. Yes. Funny things happen to politicians when they pee off a lot of people, eh? Of course, not saying that that's what caused it, but coincidences, like they say about coincidences, there are no coincidences. A 20-year-old, a 21-year-old man has been charged with arson with intent to endanger life over attacks at properties linked to Sir Keir Starmer. Roman Larinovich, a Ukrainian national at Sydenham, southeast London, is alleged to have started fires outside two properties and torched a vehicle in North London. He has been charged with 3 counts of arson with intent to endanger life and is due to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on Friday. Wow. I'm not surprised that this has occurred, but I am surprised that it is a Ukrainian national. Tens of thousands of federal public service jobs should be eliminated, think tank says. Oh boy, we needed a think tank to tell us this. What they we know the Liberals have been manipulating employment stats in Canada by doling out federal jobs. And as they continue to manage the decline of Canada, they're not going to listen to this report. They're just going to keep hiring more people. In fact, they're poised to spend and print more money than they did last time because that is the only thing they do. You see, liberals have a well that they go to for ideas, and that well has the same ideas all the time. They keep taking the same trip to the well, coming back with a bucket load of the same failed policies every time. And one of those buckets that they come back with is one that includes printing money. Ottawa. Prime Minister Mark Carney should take a page from the Chrétien government in 1994 program review and cut tens of thousands of bureaucrat jobs, argued the Montreal Economic Institute, MEI, in a new paper published on Thursday. The economic think tank found that a program review like the one from 30 years ago would result in the elimination of about 64,000 federal government jobs. This would lead to return of the pre-Justin Trudeau per capita size of the bureaucracy and a permanent reduction in public spending of nearly $10 billion a year by 2029, MEI experts say. Well, $10 billion is not going to cut it. Remember, the Liberals added over $1 trillion to the debt, where to the point the GST collected no longer even covers the interest payments. So $10 billion is nothing. You should look at the debt clock and look at the amount of money that is being uh, charged to us by the hour, by the day. You'd be amazed. You know, when people complain about, oh, a million here, a million there, they should see how many millions are accumulated every day in debt interest payments. And then they would stop complaining about that little bit of money that they spent and then lose their freaking minds on how much we're spending on interest. Coleman, Canada remains in neutral while the world moves at warp speed. Oh, yes, of course. The liberal neutral gear that Canada has been put in. The world is hurtling forward, but under Prime Minister Mark Carney's new liberal government, yeah, new for sure, Canada seems stuck in neutral. Listening to CBC's fawning coverage of Carney's cabinet shuffle, I was struck with the predictable nods to gender and regional quotas, the breathtaking arrogance of keeping some of the Liberal Party's most incompetent figures in power. This shuffle signals more of the same from a party that's governed with platitudes and failures for a decade. Indeed. And when they're talking about CBC's fawning coverage, it's absolutely nauseating how CBC will go out of their way not to say anything nasty about liberals, but then will go out of their way to demonize, diminish, and say nasty things about anyone who is not a liberal because they know which side their bread is buttered. And by the way, CBC, Canada knows you're paid propaganda shills. And the liberal supporters enjoy the fact that you're paid propaganda shills because they too are unethical, just like you, CBC. Democrat election deniers try to overturn election of their own party vice chair. Oh yeah, well, the party's full of people that have been attracted there because they have no other home. politically. So all the people on the far left who um, don't like democracy find a home in the Democrat Party. For years, Democrats have decried Republicans as election deniers, even using the phrase to justify lawfare against then former President Donald Trump. But as it turns out, when elections don't go their way, suddenly the process is flawed and democracy is negotiable. On Monday, the Credentials Committee of the Democratic National Committee voted to overturn the results of an election that led to 25-year-old David Hogg being selected as party vice chair. I think that's about all we need to know about Democrats, other than the fact that they keep showing up to be annoying communists or fascists or any other ism that they need to be in order to push their policy agenda outside of democratic norms. So what do you got going on in Germany? A wind lull across Germany is costing millions. 2023, Germany shuttered its last nuclear plant. And in 2024, the wind energy became the nation's largest single source of electricity, supplying 31.9%. But now it's 2025, and as the staff at Remix News reported yesterday, Germany's wind lull is slamming electricity production and creating losses in the millions. Hmm. Well, see, the problem with non-renewable energy is that it's non-renewable, and when it's not working, it doesn't work. Yeah, they bought into the green scam. These wind turbines, they're only built with like a 20-year lifespan, and they never even meet that. In Canada, when we had those built, what a scam that was. The entire process of buying the land, putting the windmill up, and then tearing it down after 20 years is all amortized into the cost. And was it close to 80% of it is subsidized? So when you look at the power that they generate from it, it was costing 4 times more to generate power from these than it was from regular power. And their hope was that over time, they would increase the cost of electricity to consumers to match the production rate of these renewables. But the only problem with that is as prices increased, so did the cost of maintaining these windmills. So the prices never caught up to the production cost of these, which is why they will always be a failure, a blight. And let's not even talk about the massive amount of vibrations that come off these things. Having taken a vibration analysis course early in my Air Force career, because I worked mostly on helicopters and everything vibrates in those things, I learned a lot about vibrations and how nasty they can be to the human body and to the environment. And their turbidity that it causes underground as well for contaminating underground water. These things are just nasty. And anybody had a look at Wolf Island across the lake there from Kingston? What a horrible sight that is. Maybe one day in the future we'll finally see them all torn down as another failed far left liberal green scam experiment. Don Braid, Quebec's $129 billion equalization bonanza. The idiocy is finally sinking in. Really? Equalization has become a payoff system for keeping Quebec in Canada, and for some, an irritant that could drive Alberta out. Premier Daniel Smith raises hell with Ottawa over provincial grievances to the joy of many Albertans and the discomfort of others. Here's one mammoth nation wrecking gripe. Quebec has received $129.9 billion in equalization payments over the last 10 years. So there's several arguments here. A lot of people I know say that, oh, well, you just get the money back in equalization payments in national defense and Medicare. Oh, is that so? Well, the problem with that is that it's being administered by incompetent boobs. And the province, I'm pretty sure, could probably do a better job. Now, as for national defense, I'm sorry, Canada, you don't have any. You have a bunch of volunteers who've showed up that are being abused, who've had all their equipment stolen, sent overseas. And you have a government that thinks that it can keep rotating personnel through a Latvian tour that requires 2,200 Canadian Armed Forces personnel, but they can barely muster 1,600 per rotation. Yeah, that's not even covering the fact that if you need them here at home for a national emergency, well, you're running out of troops there as well. And I don't know how many of them are actually physically fit to actually even perform their jobs. What is it? Maybe 15,000 out of the entire 64,000 force that we have are actually healthy enough to deploy. Yep. That's 10 years of Liberal Party mismanagement and abuse of the troops. And anyone who knows my story knows how much I feel about them. And as I grew up in Quebec, I'm very familiar with what happens with these equalization payments. But it's not just the payments. Really, it's not the payments that are keying off the people in Alberta. It's the abuse. It's the abuse. The Liberals think that the way they treat us is normal. It's to be expected. No, I think we're done taking the abuse. And out west, we're even done taking the abuse even more. And I think we're seeing it. And you look at the way the Liberals or anybody who's not conservative comments online about this, the abuse that they throw out. Oh, you want to leave? Go ahead and leave. Well, you're not making an argument to stay, boys and girls. Kashmir, the new rallying point for global Islamism. India and Pakistan launched a series of lethal missile attacks against one another last week. Fighting broke out after New Delhi blamed Islamabad for a jihadist assault in Kashmir last month, in which 26 non Muslim tourists were killed. A ceasefire was announced by U.S. President Donald Trump this week, which was welcome news after reports the administration received alarming intelligence regarding a possible escalation in the conflict. You know, in India, apparently there's there's archaeological evidence that shows that there may have even been a nuclear exchange somewhere in the past. Now we're talking, tens of thousands of years ago. There's latent earmarks and destruction, which could have been caused by a nuclear blast. Who knows? It could have even been caused by an incoming asteroid exploding in the atmosphere. But that whole area, I mean, I go to Google Maps and go anywhere in India and then try to find a place that's clean, doesn't have any trash anywhere on the side of the road. Probably won't find it. And as for the exchange going off in Kashmir, well, when Britain left India and it split into Pakistan and India, the question of Kashmir was not an easy one to settle. In fact, the area was rather isolated and had created its own culture. It had a mix of Hinduism, Islam, a couple of other faiths, and as a result, I mean, and they were all getting along. They were all getting along because they were all communities. They've been living together for hundreds of years, and their cultures had mixed together. They were sharing some of their own religious practices between the different religions because of the way the culture grew. So when a decision had to be made as to whether you're going to join Pakistan or whether you're going to join India, really for them, it became the lesser of two evils because they didn't want to join either one of them, but they didn't have a choice. They had to be pushed into one or the other. Because if they didn't, they were just going to be absorbed if they didn't take one side. Decades later, that entire aspect of the cultural integration that happened there probably could have been something that both sides, Pakistan and India, might have been able to profit from. But in India, with their caste system, there are a bunch of bigots in there. Well, as you know, in Islam, Islam means submission. So Pakistan's not going to like anybody there, and you can tell by the way they treat their non-Muslim citizens themselves. So the whole area, if anybody was going to bring peace to them, it might have been Kashmir, which is why it's probably the area where there's going to be the most conflict erupting every time. And people fighting over an area that didn't want either one of them. Sad state of affairs. Humans sometimes are the worst creatures on the planet. Fading American police officer. Hmm. Considering the National Police Week is upon us and Cop City, the moniker for Atlanta's controversial public safety training facility, is now open for business. This is not good time to be a police abolitionist. Just a few years ago, the hashtag defund the police movement had some momentum among progressives, especially in big blue cities. Now it's all but dead. All is not lost, however. If you're an abolition dead ender, the type to still peddle Ibrahim X Kendi at your book club or graffiti the acronym ACAB, all cops are B words, on the pavement of your local skate park. In fact, the long view is looking good. Hmm. I don't see how this is going to be a real thing in red states in the U.S., especially since conservatives, Republicans are law and order types. I bet that house feather guy is so mad. Oh God, there's Anita. God, I hate that woman. I mean, I shouldn't really have hate in my heart at all. I pray every day. I ask God for help to get through the day. And every time I see her face, I am reminded of all the troops that she injured and unalived with the experimental jibby jab, coercing them to take it or lose their jobs. And as you know, they still require 3 jabs when they join today. Yes, 3 COVID-19 jabs when you join the armed forces today if you want to stay in, want to progress in your career, or if you want to deploy. So, this new foreign minister says Israel using lack of food as political tool in Gaza. Oh, yeah. Okay. So she's going to come out as one of those, eh? Newly named Foreign Minister Anita Anand accused Israel on Wednesday of using a lack of food as a political tool in Gaza operation and urged further work on ceasefire with Hamas, the militant group that controls the Palestinian enclave. Well, anyone who's been reading BCF for years knows that this is a lie. There have been repeated articles by people disproving this over the years. Gaza has always had ample food. The only people that are using food as a weapon on Gazans are the terrorists who control the area. Israel has sealed off Gaza Strip since early March and resumed its military campaign against Hamas following the collapse of a ceasefire deal, which thousands of aid trucks entered the enclave. Well, it's a war zone controlled by terrorists. So the terrorists who are controlling the area are controlling the food. It's nothing to do with Israel. Then again, Anita Anand has never been the most intelligent person. She may have some book smarts, but she is thick as a brick. Oh God, what is she saying? Let's just listen.
Aid to Gaza. What do you think of that decision? And is the Canadian government doing anything to stop that?
We cannot allow the continued use of food as a political tool. The Prime Minister has been very clear about that. Over 50,000 people have died as a result of the aggression caused against the Palestinian and the Gazan people in Palestine. And using food as a political tool is simply unacceptable. And we need to continue to work towards a ceasefire. We need to ensure that we have a two-state solution, and Canada will continue to maintain that position.
Do you hear that? She called it Israeli aggression. No mention of October 7th. No mention of years, decades of nonstop terrorist activity against Jews, not just from Gaza, but from the West Bank. No mention that the Hamas charter calls for the destruction of Israel and killing, correction, unaliving Jews. This is insane. She is as thick as a brick. Man grabs schoolboy to stop him escaping while pack of students attack him. 2 arrested. What? Concerned parents have spoken of their distress after footage emerged of a man restraining a young boy as other youngsters lined up to hit him. The sickening incident, caught on camera and circulated widely on social media, occurred just outside the gates of Lisbury High School in Newport, Wales on Wednesday afternoon. 2 people have now been arrested in connection with the alleged assault, Gwent police has confirmed. This is a non-verbal autistic British white boy being held by a migrant who is telling his own children to attack him. Oh, God. Britain. I'm not going to show this video, but the UK. If you want to see the future of Canada, look to the UK. That's what's coming here. I'm sure that BCF in Toronto has probably seen similar, if not worse things, right downtown in Toronto. And we got here some more information. Newport, Wales, this kid, a pupil, Lisbury High School. The adult appears to be this guy. Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to show that during a live stream. Bags of cash from drug cartels flood teller windows at U.S. banks. Oh, well, at least somebody's got some money. Chinese money launderers alleged made six-figure deposits at Chase, Bank of America, and Citibank branches across Los Angeles County. What, there was no Toronto Dominion Bank for them to deposit the money? On a hazy Southern California morning, undercover police officers watched Jia Yongyu step out of a Range Rover in a strip mall parking lot and walk into a Chase Bank with a black leather backpack full of cash. At the teller window, Yu pulled out stacks of bills and waited while a woman fed them into a cash counting machine. After Yu left, an officer asked the teller if he had deposited more than $10,000, the threshold requiring banks to flag transactions to federal regulators. More like $100,000, the teller said. By then, Yu was already on his way to Chase and Bank of America branches in Claremont, California, about 35 miles away. Federal authorities allege that Yu worked for an underground banking network that bought dollars at a discount from Mexico's Sinaloa drug cartel and sold them at a premium, largely to Chinese nationals in the U.S. Wow. You think Canada had a money printing issue? Pinder, fires of Western independence will not be so easily extinguished. Very true. Possibility of independent Alberta, Saskatchewan, and other parts of West is now before us. Like the recent fires in Pacific Palisades, the tinder has been building for decades. That is, the explosive shrubbery in the hills north of Los Angeles was growing and ignored, just as legitimate Western grievances have been dismissed as whining. I swear I've read this story before. Is this new? Knew it. No, 15th of May. It's yesterday. All right, I'm having a deja vu moment. Might be having to move it later too. All right, we've gone through the one page. Thanks for coming out. If you were on this, I guess we're gonna have to fix up the beginning of this video through some editing, seeing as this was the first live broadcast and was trying to get the thing to work. I think I've figured it out. Should be a lot easier for next Friday or any other live broadcast I try to do. Okay, once again, all you BCF readers, thanks for coming out and watching. And if you watch any of my videos, we'll see you there. And if not, we'll see you next week. And if not, well, have a great life and we'll see you later. Bye.